Hi everyone, this is Art Smalley, President of Art of Lean Incorporated, and today on behalf of the Lean Enterprise Institute, I want to bring you another short video, this one on the topic of problem solving and specifically coaching problem solving. I think this is a very important topic, so if it interests you, stick around, I think you'll enjoy it. Now in terms of introducing this topic, I'm going to start with a question. Why does it take so long to solve a given problem or improve a given situation? Because it does vary. Right? Sometimes you do it in hours, sometimes in days, sometimes weeks, sometimes months. Bigger transformations take even longer than that. But let's keep this centered solely on the topic of, specific problems and solving those. I think it depends. The answer is not easy, but I'm going to say there's 3 internal factors, types, skill, and complexity, and 3 external factors, urgency, leadership, and external noise, okay, that govern the equation. So I want to explain those to you in this video. Now, before I dive in though, my background is varied. It's quite diversified when it comes to the topic of coaching, and I'm happy to talk with you at length on this topic, but be forewarned, I can go deep and I can go broad. I love to talk about Toyota coaching practices because I speak, read, and write Japanese and worked there for a decade of my life. I've been an internal director of improvement, like many of you. I've been an external change agent, a consultant working in the biggest, some of the hardest, toughest situations, and interesting companies out there. I've worked in small ones. I've also worked in national laboratories for 15 years. I've worked with distinguished scientists serving certain types of problems in our national laboratory system. Real scientists, not the so-called lean guys out there quoting science. I also have talked extensively with people in the special forces community about the difference between generalists versus specialists. The specialists were the 38-year-olds, high IQ, multiple degrees, multiple types of languages and backgrounds. Also, I have a background in martial arts. It's quite varied. In addition, I have a pretty strong and lifelong interest in coaching in sports, whether it be track, golf, football, or kids basketball. So I'm really interested in this topic and come at it from different angles, not just the Toyota one, which might surprise you. Now back to why does it take so long to solve a problem? Well, my simple answer is it depends. But I think it depends upon 3 internal things I talked about and 3 external things, which you can't really control, but certainly affect you. The 3 internal things, what I call the types of problems. Right out of my book, 4 types of problems. I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all solution space or world. You can't employ the same pattern or methodology in every case. If you do, you'll get widely different results. Also, I think it depends upon the difficulty of the problem. I'll gladly go into some really difficult Toyota problems that were solved and are fair game to talk about, and the experts behind them. And they didn't use 5Y or A3 reports or DMAIC or 8D. It's quite interesting. Also, I'm going to talk about skill and will levels. I think it goes back to management as organizational behavior and recognizing there's situational leadership things that come into play, and you can't address every team in every situation the same way. If you do, you're going to struggle and frustrate the team. And also there's, of course, urgency, leadership things that outside the team's control and noise, customers, suppliers, outside parties in the company all bringing their thoughts to bear on the situation, and they can help you. Sometimes they can be a force of friction and slow you down. It all depends. Now, I have a minor in mathematics, and whenever I'm stuck, I try and put things into either a mental model or a framework of a basic equation, just so I can think about it and start to realize I'm probably missing some things. But if I were to frame this as an equation, I'd say, I'd first ask the question of what's the lead time to solve a problem? And I'd say that dependent variable y is a function of, at a minimum, x, y, and z. There's more to it. X, your types, y, your complexity levels, and z, the skill will levels associated. And then you've got those other factors, a few influencing you and factoring in as well, urgency, leadership, and noise. And they all come to bear. And all of the things I see in the lean community floating around for coaching are fine. They're not wrong. The problem is, I think, and even these 6 that I'm talking about, only address one side of the cube at a time. It's fine to have types that you like, a type or a favorite type, but it doesn't work in all situations. It's fine to go after easy, medium, or hard cases, but you can't treat them the same, and same with skill will levels. One size doesn't fit all. So you can see you start having to deal with different types and cases, even with my simple X, Y, and Z analogy. And then on top of that, you got urgency, leadership, and noise. But my point is, good coaching frameworks have to consider all of that at a minimum. I think more advanced cases can be made where you think about things in addition to that as well, but at a minimum, we have to start with these. And this is where I'm just dissatisfied with the current state. I don't think you could say that humble inquiry is coaching and leave it at that. I don't think you can just say, well, break it down to steps, key points, and reasons why, and tell them how to do it, and that's the way to go after problem solving. I also think there's a huge limit to invoking martial art phrases. They're using, the ones being used in lean are not wrong. They're well intended, but they're often on the strange tangent and not even doing what actually is done in martial arts. And they sure as heck are not science, when you come down and look closely at it. And the truth is, I think it is a complex problem space, and I want to reopen our ability to talk about it, because even with a cube, you've got a matrix. It's not just the 6 sides. You've got combinations and permutations and spaces inside the cube. And if I take just my 4 types, the complexity levels, 3 complexity levels, and 4 skill will levels, you get a lot more than just 6 situations to think about. And then factor in the urgency, the leadership, and the noise in the equation, and it gets complicated. But I think we can frame it. I think the point is we need to come up with a better framework and better way of thinking about those matrix, so we can come up with better solution spaces and just get past this one-size-fit-all or my pet way of doing things based upon steps or questions. That's where I think the game is being played right now, and it's not going well, at least in my opinion, watching the situation unfold. So what I propose we do next series of videos, I'm going to stay on this topic for probably a couple months, 8, 10 videos, and go through what I consider the variables and external factors that we have to at least consider initially. There's more. Use some external examples, non-Toyota. I want to talk about some Toyota examples, go into some complex things that don't use 5Y, A3 reports, or the simple steps you've been taught. Look at open frameworks, which hopefully make us consider other points of view. And lastly, my end result is somebody out there comes with a better, more unified coaching theory or framework for what we do in the lean world of problem solving. So I don't think we're there, and I'm frustrated by what I see. And I know clients out there I see come to me with questions, and they're frustrated or confused by the current state of this topic. So let's see what we can do, thinking out loud together, and maybe come up with a better framework in the end.